Hello, this is Dan, Nowman, Niswander, and you're watching the Nowman Show. I have been producing this television show since 2014 when it was in pre-production planning, and then broadcasting starting in 2015. But not just the television show, also my music over the years, a couple of albums, many live shows, original music and variety shows and things of that nature. And even my activist work over the years. It's all been about building and supporting community and celebrating life. And it continues to be. Even in this television show, a lot of the content has been about cultural and economic transition, for example. This is an important thing to be discussing as we go forward together. And in the last few years, couple of years, call it what it is, the COVID pandemic era, there has been a lot of marginalization of certain voices, censoring what I would consider many reasonable voices. And I think that that's morally wrong. I just have to say that. There's a lot of information that people need to have access to, that they need to be informed of. We need this information. We need to be more inclusive of people if we really are serious about supporting and building community and even celebrating life. And I want to continue to do that. And I want to hear from you also about what kind of content that you want to see on this show and on any podcast that I would do. You can send me an email to the nowmanshow2017@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. It's very important that we understand decisions that we make going forward, especially when we're responsible for others, such as children, that we make the right decisions. And we need to have a healthy, spirited debate. We don't have to agree on everything. That's the way it always has been. From my experience, we can agree to disagree. We can have healthy, robust debates and conversations. And even, let's say, if you think somebody is making an unreasonable proposal, let's say, you can always find ways with facts to debunk it, instead of just marginalizing someone and censoring them. This episode, I'm going to focus on celebrating life, some content from 2021 and more. And all of it is about building and supporting community going forward. So let's start this right now.
35 minutes ago, there's an official statement from LAUSD board member Jackie Goldberg. Okay, but listen, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Here's what it says. Today, the board voted to suspend enforcing LAUSD's vaccination mandate.
This is Dan Nowman Niswander. I'm here with Nicole Pearson, who is a volunteer attorney for the Children's Health Defense in the, I would call it the infamous case.
Oh,
yes.
the case, yeah.
Yes,
It's the
and with
Children's
PERC.
Health Defense and PERC.
And
our
PERC, yes.
clients.
And PERC stands for?
Protection of the Educational Rights of Kids.
So that's what the focus of this lawsuit is about, correct?
Yes.
And we're here outside LAUSD. Can you explain to people who may not understand,
Sure.
what is this about exactly?
Sure. So we filed a lawsuit against the LA Unified School District. It's a very narrow legal petition, actually. It's not a complaint that you guys typically see, like constitutional claims violation of, searches and seizures or religious First Amendment rights. It's a very strategic legal petition, and it is simply asking the court whether or not this school district and every school district in the state of California, there being 1,000 almost, school districts have the authority to decide what kind of medicine children need to take in order to attend school. So it's a very narrow lawsuit. It's an expedited lawsuit. We wanted to get relief as quickly as possible for the kids. What we're here about today is that we filed a motion for an injunction. And what an injunction does is it puts a pin in whatever issue you're talking about until you can get to trial. Because, right now trials are taking up to 2 years.
Yes.
This is expedited proceeding, so it wouldn't take 2 years. But, justice delayed is justice denied. It's certainly in this case. Every day that goes by that this illegal and unconstitutional and unethical and immoral mandate stands, a child is getting vaccinated. Multiple children are getting vaccinated against their will. So we went and we asked the judge for an emergency order, just putting a pin in this policy until we can go to trial. So we went in on Wednesday. He actually initially was going to deny our motion, but after co-counsel or my partner Jessica and I argued for about an hour and a half with the other attorneys, he said, you know what, I need to think about this a little bit longer. So he took his ruling back, his 14-page decision, and said, I have to think about this. I'm going to take it under submission. So we're still waiting for the final ruling. And
he realizes this is a historical
this
thing.
Is a really big deal. Well, I will say two things. This motion is just a relief, right? It's a temporary relief while we go to trial. And what we think is happening is that what the LAUSD is trying to help the judge, right? They're gonna put a pause in themselves. They're gonna put a pin in their policy themselves. So we think so we're here today to support the board's decision to put a pin in their policy until next year. We think that's a huge deal. They have been very adamant that they have every right to do this, and that it's not injuring anybody, and that their resources are adequate and are not failing. And so we're here to let them know that we see right through those lies, and we demand that they put a pause in it and they stop harming our children, not just by the vaccine, but by harassing them, threatening them, intimidating them, coercing them, and shunting them on to this City of Angels remote program that is already failing and already serves a lot of children with disabilities and special needs. And so all the children are really suffering right now, so we're trying to get that to stop.
And now here are a couple things from my visit to Indianapolis, Indiana in the summer of 2021. A music video live from the Melody Inn, and also a visit to the Pop Machine recording studio where I recorded that song and others for an album called Adventures in Wonderland. Here it is right now.
Got its mojo rising, got my mojo working. I got my cup of joe brewing, some great stuff. I'm fooling mojo. So loud. Everybody can play their guitar. Thank you.
Niswander here, and I'm back in the pop machine. Finally,
We've missed you.
I've missed being here. Oh man, it's so great to see Eric Johnson here. I mean, we have done so much work together.
Yes.
I'm very proud of the work that we did together.
Likewise.
And thank you. I really appreciate that. And Eric here has done so much great stuff in this studio with people that you might know, like John Wade and Supergrass and Smithereens and Tiffany, for all you
That's a long time.
teeny bopper people. Who's been here in more recent times?
I'm doing a record with, Mark and I are doing a record with Amelia Ray. She's a Disney artist, and she's on the show Sydney to the Max. We're doing her record.
And that's on the Disney Channel, or was?
Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, it's a and we're doing her debut solo album. We just did the new Sublime record in March.
Oh wow! It's Sublime
with Rome.
With Rome, yeah.
Rome Ramirez.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. So a couple things about that. They cut everything in the same room, everyone in the band, and they had Gabriel McNair with them as well. Gabriel plays with Gwen Stefani and No Doubt.
Oh,
He's
really?
a trombone player and keyboard player.
Oh, wow.
And
so he's their regular keyboard guy?
Yeah.
On the road and everything in the studio?
Yeah, and in the studio, yeah. And he lives in Norway.
Norway, wow.
Yeah. And
so he's not an Orange County guy at all.
No, I mean, like the guy. It's so funny. The band that's known for Long Beach,
right,
doesn't live really in Long Beach. Like Eric lives in Escondido or Fallbrook, one or the other.
That's going to be San Diego County.
Yeah, right there. And he lives on an avocado farm, I think. And then Carlos Verduga, who is my man. I mean, Carlos and I are very good friends now. I helped him with his studio via like Zoom or like what do you call it? What's the Apple thing? I feel like my mother. I can't think of the name of it. When you video, what is it? FaceTime.
FaceTime, yes.
So I helped him set up his FaceTime. Yeah, and he's an incredible drummer. He's playing a band called the Tribal Seeds. Carlos replaced Josh Freese, and Josh Freese is an incredible drummer. I don't know if you know about him, but he played in. Gosh, his first band was Vandals, but then he played.
I remember the Vandals.
He became like the biggest session guy in Hollywood with like Matt Chamberlain and Kenny. So So he's played with, his favorite two favorite bands growing up were the Replacements and Devo, and he plays in both Devo and Replacements. Wow. But he also plays with Sting. He plays with The Perfect Circle. He played in Guns N' Roses for a long time. He's a writer on the song Chinese Democracy, and Josh Freese is the funniest human being in the world. He is awesome, and he's a great drummer. So I knew Josh, but Carlos is the new drummer in Sublime, and he is phenomenal. Like the bands who've recorded here, you mentioned a lot. I mean, it's almost better to like subdivide the genres. I mean, like we've had from hip hop, we've had Yo Gotti and Ace Hood, we've had Jurassic 5 here.
Yes, Jurassic 5.
From like let's say. Americana, we've had Avett Brothers, Sunvolt, Syndicato, Chevy Downs, Chad Harvey. From hard rock, we've had all the aforementioned bands I just named. That's not true. I was going to say another band. I did that at another studio. you know, gosh,
Kenny Aronoff's done sessions.
Kenny's done a lot of stuff here.
Kenny, for those of you who may not know, Kenny Aronoff is the original drummer of the John Mellencamp Band. You know, all those big hits in the 80s, you know, Small Town and Rock in the USA and all of that, and Jack and Diane. But he's also gone on to be an incredible session musician.
Yeah.
He's played with John Fogerty. I saw him play with John Fogerty.
Yeah.
Melissa Etheridge. And then if you ever see the Kennedy Center honors, he's almost always the drummer on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've seen him, you know, probably on David Letterman. I mean, he's just, you can't miss the guy with the bald head and the sunglasses. John, that's Kenny Aronoff, but that's who that is. And he's done a lot of sessions in this room back here.
That's right.
I saw him do one of those sessions. And I did, my second album in here, Adventures in Wonderland, which is songs like Read a Book and Everyone and Funky Space was not done here, but that was done in another studio. But, you know, Primrose, which I saw, I passed Primrose on the way here.
Yeah, right.
I knew.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while since those days and that tape
great.
And all of that, you know. So
That's right.
now we you know. So I'm gonna be. I got to get into Logic. It's time to start doing this again. This is, you know, who am I fooling? You know, and I don't know if you've noticed this. Did you notice this?
I love it.
A friend of mine said, like, you know, you should get a T-shirt of her saying that and make. And I said, that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So that's what I did. But it's because, you know, when the COVID thing kind of hit, you know, I did this show 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Literally 2 weeks before the lockdowns. So, you know, I still to this day I'm able to use this story to kind of bring a little joy, you know, because people want to know, people want to hear happy stories through this crazy time.
Hot summer nights in Broad Ripple, it's mandatory to have a good time.
The celebration continues with what I'm thankful for from A to Z.
What are you thankful for? Starting with A. A is for art. Adventures in Wonderland. B is for Beatles. Books. C is for community, compassion, caring, and comedy.
He said a line which really has given me comfort and pause, but it really, really works. He used to say, when you're born, you get a ticket to the freak show.
Yeah.
When you're born in America, you get a front row seat.
D is for David Bowie. E is for enlightenment, exercise, and extraterrestrials. F for family and friends, flowers, fork in the road. G is for gardening and gratitude. Gabriel, as in Peter Gabriel, in your eyes. H is for happiness, humor, and hummus. Hollywood. I is for intuition and intelligence. Indigenous. J is for Jimi Hendrix. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. K is for King Crimson, Kale, and Kissy. L is for love, of course.
If for some reason we don't agree, I still must love you and you still must love me. We may not seem to get along, but love is the reason for this song. And I've got to love you this way.
But also Labyrinth. M for music. Marimba is not to be confused with xylophones. mutual aid.
And mountains.
N is for nature, networking, Nowman, and now.
Hello, this is Nowman.
O is for omniscience, omnipotent, omniactive, omnipresent, and ocean.
P for plants. Plant-based diet.
Pink Floyd, philosophy, peace.
Prince.
Q is for Queen. Yeah, the rock band. R is for Revolution of the Heart, rock and roll, reggae, on.
What I feel is what I know.
S is for Star Trek, sociocracy, surfing, spontaneity.
S for squirrel.
T is for trains, Tesla, the universe according to Nowman.
The Nowman Show, and I'm here with Mike Garson, who is a keyboardist, pianist, composer, and he is also known as a collaborator and sideman with numerous artists. In this particular episode, we're going to focus on David Bowie.
U is for the universe, universal law. V is for vitamins and vitality. W is for worker-owned cooperatives,
Making all the most important decisions together.
Wish trees for Pasadena.
and wisdom. X is for xylophones, not to be confused with marimbas. Y is for yes, yerba mate tea, and Yoko Ono. Z is for Zappa and Zoo. Some examples of what I am truly thankful for, and I'm thankful for you. That's right, you. So stay present in the moment and be happy. In the first part of October, and I was on my laptop, and I saw this meme. It was an aerial shot of Wall Street, and it said, you know, according to the media, nothing is happening here, just move on.
Bill Clinton signed off on the Financial Service Modernization Act, the Commodity Futures Modernization Act, that made all these financial swindles legal.
Like derivatives?
All the collateralized debt obligations,
Yeah.
credit default swaps, all of that was made legal in a bipartisan, Republican-led Senate working with the Democrat Bill Clinton.
Such diversity of people. I mean, there was social justice warriors, there were people that were talking about economic justice, environmental justice. There were all sorts of religious groups and sexual orientations, and it was not just Democrat and Republican. There were other parties there, other philosophies.
I'm here at the Occupy LA today, talking to some people, sharing some ideas, and it's good seeing people come out and support and just kind of bring that sense of community back.
Because remember that we are all atoms that vibrate at the very core of who we are as human beings.
I saw the same thing in New York, Occupy Boston as well as Occupy LA, that focuses on corporate greed. It talks about individual liberty, it talks about social justice, it talks about democratic accountability, especially the 1% who own 40% of the wealth.
In Sidi Bouzid, Tunisia, in late 2010, a street vendor, Mohamed Bouazizi, set himself on fire as a protest that started massive anti-government protests across the Arab world. The economic hardship of the masses of workers forced an end to Ben Ali's 23-year rule, and he fled to Saudi Arabia. Protests spread to Egypt, Syria, and Yemen. In May of 2011, an anti-austerity movement as a series of protests and demonstrations broke out in Spain. It has been called 15M, or Indignado movement. One action was occupying public space, paving the way as inspiration for Occupy Wall Street.
Thank you so much for stopping by. When you put this information out there, it's in the subconscious, but it doesn't quite come to the forefront of the consciousness.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're saying that a lot of these thoughts are already there deep down. They just don't realize it.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. No, I definitely think so. I mean, there's a great. Where do we rank on the depression scale in the world? Like, we're pretty high up there. And yet a lot of poorer countries look at us and go, oh, they have it so easy. It's so happy there. They just all have money and food and they have big cars, and it's just, they must all just be so happy, and people are miserable. And they're miserable because this is an empty value system.
Pastor Martin Niemöller in 1936, in talking about the Nazi takeover of Germany where he lived. Here's a quote. "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists.
And I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me."
Future, what hope do you have?
Well, I'm a hopeful guy. You know, I try to remain hopeful from sun up to sundown. Not always easy, and that's challenged by the minute. But, you know, you see people like this who aren't complacent, and that motivates and inspires me to not be complacent with the status quo.
In the squares of the city, near the shadow of the steeple, at the relief office, I see my people. Some are grumbling, and all are wondering if this land's still made for you and me. Tell them!